I was supposed to be a college professor, but one event changed absolutely everything. If you're watching this video, it's because you want to learn more about who is this Justin Maxwell? Who is Big Life Financial and what are they doing in the world? And I want to know more about you, Justin. I want to know your backstory. I want to understand where you came from, how you tick, what makes you you. This video is intended to help you learn about me. Now, the first thing you need to learn about me is that I grew up in an extremely loving household. I grew up in suburban Utah. My parents loved each other. My parents were both college educated. My parents both had the opportunity to be in extraordinary careers, and they taught me love. They taught me service. They taught me how to do good at school. They taught me how to think. They taught me how to be. I'm not one of those stories where the individual grows up in a poverty-stricken household, has to shrink and grind, and somehow bursts through and becomes extraordinarily successful and big. I grew up in a home that was very stable, and I'm extremely grateful for that. And it's that stability because they taught me to think big, they taught me to push into my dreams, they taught me that I could become whatever I wanted to become, but I had to go and work for it. I appreciate that. But during my younger years, I also had an experience that paralleled that stable household with something that I didn't know how to comprehend back then, but I've been able to identify now. And that's this. When I was young, I had tens of friends. There was kids everywhere in my neighborhood, all my age. We always did stuff together. We were at each other's houses. We went to cabins together. We played on the same sports teams. They were at my house. We played video games. We had each other. But slowly, one by one, each of those friends who I felt like there was as tight of a relationship of, I would even call like the best friend type relationship, each one of them moved away one by one by one. Not their fault, their parents moved, not my fault. I just couldn't comprehend it. So is what I internalized it as is if I put myself out there and develop close relationships and really go deep with someone or something, then eventually it's going to fail. It's eventually not going to work. It might be good now, but someday it won't work. So it kept me back on things. And this was at odds with the relationship my parents were creating with me, which was go big, think big, you can work hard, you can even become successful. It was at odds with it because in one manner, this was you can become successful. And this one was pulling me back saying, if you work hard, it's eventually going to fail. And your relationships are going to fail. Your things you're going to do are going to fail. And I realized that might sound outrageous to you, but subconsciously as a child, I didn't have the ability to comprehend friends leaving and being gone. Like they weren't just moving down the road. They were moving 30, 40 minutes away, hours away. And that's hard for parents to commute. They were going out of my life. So as this is happening, I have these two different pulls. I have this pull to be great, to go big, to go do extraordinary things. But then I have this pull backwards saying, if you go big and you work hard, you're not going to make it. You're going to fail. Because as you put effort into things, everything seems to fail around you. So you have these two conflicting stories. And eventually I found that I could perform in specific areas and be good enough so I could satisfy that desire to be good without actually failing at it. So essentially, I settled for average. I settled for good. I settled for things that I'm really good at, but I never actually pushed into actual greatness. So let me give a few examples of this so you can see what I'm talking about here. So in sport, I'm really good / average at pretty much any sport because people respect you in sport. You don't have to develop relationships with your teammates. If you participate, you try hard, you do good work, they respect you. So I could do good work without failing. And they didn't expect, because I wasn't the best player, I didn't have the expectations of that. So they knew I was going to fail sometimes, but I also tried harder than most. I also did a lot of the work. So I had the issue of do good work, do good enough work, do average work, stand out a little bit, but not so far that you're going to fail and blow up and be so close. Because what would happen is with those relationships is I would really put my heart and soul to them. I felt like they were my best friends. I thought we were going to be friends forever. And then they would move. So I felt like if I went all in on something, that it was going to fail. And I realized that sounds outrageous, but that was my internal pattern that I created. Then there was this second event that kind of steered me from going too big. So in Park City, Utah, there's a lot of wealthy individuals. There's a lot of people that have built businesses, high-paying, salaried people, just people that have had success around money. That church, the question that was asked was, what are your favorite beaches? Now, my family is super middle class, super educated, but super middle class. So we didn't travel the world and go to destination beaches. So for me, sitting in this church class in this very wealthy thing, I felt intimidated by it. I reported that intimidation to my parents, and then immediately there started to be a mocking of, oh, that's just because they're wealthy. And I immediately started to associate wealth with evil or badness, or it's just something that other people get to do. You don't get to have access to it. But I made the association that wealth was bad from that event, that money was bad. So now is what I have a dilemma, because I have this drive to push big. I also have this pulling back that if you go all in on something, you're going to get hurt. And I have this association that wealthy people are selfish and evil and you shouldn't think that way or do things that make you wealthy. So I have some conflict here because I want to go big. I want to do good things, but I also have this thing of fear of failure. And I have this thing that money is bad. Sum that all up. When I'm in college, I'm trying to choose a career. I don't know what I want to do. People have told me, hey, you'd be an extraordinary lawyer, an accountant. I should do those things. They think you seem to have the demeanor of what that would be to be successful in those things. But then at the same exact time, I have this desire to go big, which those things would help me go big. But I have this pullback of fear of failure. If I go on something, I'm going to fail. And then I have this other side of the story of money is bad. Rich people do selfish things, and they go travel the world. They're not being productive and helpful. All that's going on, and so I never actually pursued those things. Those things came off the shelf very early, and to me, education was the safe place for me to go big, to stand out, because I can learn as much as possible. I'm very good at learning. I can drive into that world, but I'm going to be hidden here. I know teachers, they're just teachers. They're not famous. So it's very similar to, I can go be average. I'm not trying to demean teachers here, but for me, that was the mindset. I can go be average at something and be successful at something, and I'm not going to make a lot of money at it. That was what I chose. So I go into teaching, I get my bachelor's degree, I immediately go into my master's degree. And in my mind, the best way to do all of this, to get into teaching, is I want to become a college professor. They're hidden, they get paid sort of well enough to survive, but they're not making massive amounts of money. So in my mind, that was the perfect fit. I could do good things, hide without making lots of money. It was perfect, at least I thought. And then I'm doing my master's degree, and I'm doing the research, because when you do a master's degree, you do a small dissertation. It's a mini dissertation. So PhDs do a massive dissertation, master's degree people do a mini dissertation. I'm doing my mini dissertation, which requires you to do research. And as I'm doing the research, I'm just grinding through it. I hate it. I hate all the red tape. I hate all the things that you're asked to do. You have to keep your participants inside the study compliant. It's really hard to do that. You have people dropping out. It was just a headache to run the research. And I was like, I loved reading research, but how come I hate hating research? Doing the actual research, I actually hate it. And for the first time in my life, I had this slight window open to me of, there's something else here. I don't think I should be doing this. This is not the path that I want to actually do. It was like a reawakening of that drive. You got to go bigger. You got to go bigger. That person inside of me woke up and said, this isn't big enough. This isn't good enough. You're doing something that's below your potential. At that period of time, I happened to have a neighbor, Dave Clark. Dave Clark invites me to a real estate meeting. So I just come, I listen. Eventually, I get to hear someone by the name of Garrett Gunderson speak. And it was like a spiritual light bulb moment for me. Because for the first time in my life, I could take control of my outcome. I didn't have to work for someone else in order to live. I didn't have to go get a job and then eventually have this output. I can serve humanity, which was driven into me from a very young age, that we serve people, that we help people. I can serve people through business ownership. Never once in my life had I ever thought about being a business owner, being an entrepreneur, ever. Not once, until I heard Garrett speak. It was a light bulb moment for me that opened up my world and hit on that side of me that wanted to go big. Because business ownership gives you that permission if you want it. Now I have this swirling emotions. Like I have the ability, I have to complete my master's degree. So I complete it, I get it. But now I'm like, I don't know what to do. Do I go get a PhD? Do I go do the research route and become a professor? What do I do? I decided that I was going to stop the research route, but I can't go back to my wife and say, well, hey, I just had this big discovery and we're going to go back to school and figure out what we want to do for the next 15 years. I was already in school for 7 straight years. Like, I can't do that. We're making hardly any money. We're barely surviving. I can't go to her and say that. So it's what I do is I go get a job teaching because I had a teaching degree. That was a part of my undergraduate and graduate work, is I had the ability to get a teaching license. So I go and get a teaching license, but I'm completely swirling around. I need to do more. I need to do more. Teaching isn't my final destination. I have to figure out something else to do. I tried lots of things. I fixed and flipped real estate. I sold real estate notes. I sold products. I sold systems. I just did stuff to try and figure out what it is that I'm going to do to sustain my family's life and be a provider for my family, but also push into, I want to do great things. I want to do and leave an impact on this earth. I eventually attend another event and Garrett Gunderson is speaking again. I'm like, oh my goodness, that's the man that kind of opened up this whole world to me. I'm really grateful. And he has a call to action, schedule a call. I schedule a call. It doesn't go to Garrett's team. It goes to my now business partner, Derek Van Ness. So Derek, we have a great phone call. I buy a life insurance policy from him just because I was a teacher. So it's just a basic term policy. I had no coverage. Really grateful for that. But then I went on my way. I just kept trying things, kept trying to figure it out, kept trying to find how can I make money without going and being employed? What can I do on the side? And about a year later, after the call with Derek, I'm sitting at my kitchen table and I just have this like aha moment. And it was call Derek and ask him, what did you do to get to the spot where you're at now? What did you do? What made you, how are you able to do and have those conversations with people that enable you to help people like you helped me a year ago? One thing led to another. I started doing calls for Derek. When I dive into things, I dive into things. And all of a sudden now I'm in Big Life Financial, helping Big Life Financial grow. I'm doing R&D credits. I'm selling life insurance. We're having conversations around money with people. We're helping people get into investments. I'm in it, like I'm experiencing it. And for me, because the one thing I will say, that all this education and what my parents instilled in me, is I can learn things very quickly. So when I want something, when I want to know something, I know how to learn about it. So I dove in and I just consumed every piece of information, from books to courses to podcasts to webinars, on how do you actually do this money thing? How do you actually handle wealth as a business owner? How do you save taxes? I had conversations with hundreds of accountants. I learned and I studied and I just figured it out by doing, having conversations with clients, learning what the questions they're asking and going and figuring out the answer and then reporting that question. That's how I learned. So my entire life was this extremely formalized education. And then all of a sudden it became, boom, I had to take all this of how to learn and apply it to this one thing, because I know that business ownership is the calling that I've been called to. And I know that I can help people through business ownership, and I'm going to learn how to deliver value through that means. And I went all in on that. The amazing thing is that I was able to replace my W-2 teaching job, which $60,000 a year, relatively quickly, like six months, 7 months after working with Derek and starting my own, getting the business going and building it up and doing it. So I was able to jump out of teaching relatively quickly in relationship to when I started working with Derek. But then the journey of actual business ownership began, where there's ups and downs, and we have government regulation. They're taking away tax code things of strategies we're giving, or they change the law on things, and we're having to make adaptions, and all of a sudden the cash flow dips. And how do we actually help people? We keep getting questions from clients on, okay, this person said that, and that person said this, and my business isn't going to sell, or I'm paying way too much in taxes. How do I actually not do that? Like, my accountant says that's all I can do. And it just became solving one problem, one after the other, where all of a sudden now our service is expanded from just like basic money coaching and strategies and a little bit of investing, plus R&D tax credits and other tax credits, to now we actually own a full-blown investing firm, and we own a full-blown accounting firm, and we own a firm that helps people exit their business and do mergers and acquisitions, and we have our insurance brokerage. And now we're a cohesive fractional family office, but it all started because we wanted to serve people. We wanted to help people solve their business problems, and they were getting conflicting advice from lots of different people. The story gets even crazier. Like, it just, every step I take keeps getting better and better. And let me explain what I mean by that. So the first action step was I heard Garrett speak, right? I heard Garrett speak, and I'm like completely blown away. The first action step was I just started doing something to make money on my own without anyone else helping me. I became an entrepreneur. Just did it, but I took the action. And then I hear Garrett speak again. I took the action of making the call, which led me to Derek. I later find out that Derek is Garrett's brother-in-law. So there's a connection there, and it just feels there's a lot of serendipity happening here. And then during COVID, Derek has the chance to speak at an event. Derek gets COVID. I go to the event, and Garrett Gunderson is at the event speaking. So now I'm speaking on a stage of someone that got me to that stage. I would never have been there had I never heard him speak. Like, it all became serendipitous. I'm speaking like a teacher because I have no teaching experience. Derek just said, here's a slide deck, go and deliver it. You know the content, you've been diving in, you figure it out. So I just go and do it. Again, another action item. I took action and I go and speak. It went well. It wasn't a great speech, not at all, actually. It was just a teacher. It was very lecture, data-driven speech. But then Garrett comes up to me and says, hey, you really connected with the audience. I think you should try and get better. So I asked him, how do I get better at this? He refers me to Michael and Amy Port, Heroic Public Speaking. And now I'm investing in improving my speaking. So now I'm getting better at speaking, learning how to tell stories, learning how to have stage presence and stand on stage and deliver a message so that people don't just get information, but they also get transformation, which is the emotional connection with the speaker. If you can't connect emotionally with the audience, all the information in the world doesn't change people. They can say, that sounds like a great idea. That sounds extraordinary. I'm really grateful you shared that with me. But unless they have an emotional tie that prompts them to take action, they will not take action. And Heroic helps you do that at a very, very extraordinary level. And I'm so grateful that I invested in their program so that I could actually learn those skills. And I'm still getting better at it, but it taught me how to connect with an audience. At that event where I spoke, we had a client call us. They signed up on the calendar, and his name is Jeff Sands. And Jeff just wanted to know, tell me about your services. Tell me what you do. Tell me how this. So Jeff just did one strategy with us. Eventually, Jeff did another thing, and then another thing, and then another thing. And before long, Jeff has become a raving fan of what we do and how we operate and what we think about and the way that we think and how we're helping business owners change their wealth trajectory and their wealth potential. Raving fan. He introduces me to a mastermind run for the Four Rooms Mastermind by Amber Spears. Amber Spears speaks with me. She lets me come to her group. And I'm there and I'm in the group. And all of a sudden I'm in front of all these 7- and 8-figure entrepreneurs. And we're growing and we're having these great discussions and people are resonating with our message. One of the people in Four Rooms, his name is Alex Moscow. Alex Moscow invites me to his group and his event. And so now I'm going to that one and I speak there. And I met a man named Dr. Nima. And he did an exercise for me that unlocked all of those childhood unprocessed behaviors of subconscious controlling of what I wanted to do so that I could then see all of the things I just said to you of why it is, was I wanting to go big but holding back? Why was I afraid of going big? Because I also was afraid of making too much money. I did all that work and it all connected, and it was all because Garrett spoke. So now my whole purpose is I'm giving it all out. I'm going all in. I'm going to fail often. Failure is a part of everything you do in business and in life. You can't not do something because you might fail. You're probably going to fail. The key is you get back up and you do it. So I'm all in, and I'm helping business owners stop viewing their business as a W-2 job and start viewing it like the asset it is, and view their wealth potential through their business, not because of their business. Let me explain how this looks in my family, because honestly, all of this for me is driven because of my family. It started back when my parents raised a strong family and taught me the importance of family. Let me explain to you how this relates to my family and what it's going to do for the generations and what I'm trying to inspire business owners to do in their families. I feel a deep pull both backwards through my ancestors, but also forwards. I feel like I'm at a pivot point where it's my responsibility to connect my family from the past to the forward, and to give them an elevated status, to give them something else to shoot for. Like, I feel a deep thanks and gratitude for everyone that came before me, all the struggles they had, the poverty they did, crossing the ocean, living through wars, living through plagues, surviving in a time of history where there was so much uncertainty. And I feel it's my responsibility to say thank you to them, to push into my maximum potential, because I feel like they reached theirs, and it's my responsibility to push into mine. But then I also want to pull forward and give my heirs the responsibility and stewardship to say thank you for them as well. So every generation is looking backwards and forwards. But it's through business that we have the ability to actually serve people at maximum potential. It allows you to step out of yourself and into service of how do we solve this problem for people and how do we give it to them. I have a vision in 20 years that my family is going to give away $1 million a year from that point forward. Because we're perpetual creators and we're perpetual givers. We say thank you to the world by giving what we have. Now, there's some extraordinary structures on the estate side that enable us to do that. If you want to have a conversation around those things, I'm happy to do it. I don't want to dive into on this call, but it's going to enable us to give away $1 million a year from that point forward. 150 years from now, I want that amount of money given away to be $1 billion, not $1 million. That's something that I'm enlisting my children in. We're building this as this isn't a family business. They can do whatever they want. They're not driven to do what I'm doing, but they're going to be invested in, and they're going to be taught how to be a steward around perpetual creation and perpetual giving. That's what our family stands for, and that's the permission that I wish to give to every single business owner in America, that their family becomes generational. Not generational in the fact of just giving loads and loads of money and creating trust fund babies, but generational in the fact that it becomes generationally good people, creating generationally good leaders, creating generational impact. That's the reason I do everything, is I believe that this isn't just me. This is saying thank you and creating something into the future that will change the trajectory of humanity forever, because there's the structure and system behind it in order to make it actually happen. It's not just estate documents. It's the foundation and values and doctrines and systems, the tax savings, the business, the insurance, the investing, the business growing and selling, all under one intercollected section that gives the business owner the permission to reach their maximum potential. See, my potential has nothing to do with my life. My potential is what is coming in the future. It's infinite because every generation is going to take a step up from where I take it. And that's the permission I give to business owners. And that's who I am. And that's what we do at Big Life Financial. And that's who we help. We actually, yes, we help people with your money. We're going to help you save a massive amount of money in taxes. We're going to help you get your investments outside your business dialed in and unvolatile and rolling in an extraordinary direction so it's moving alongside your business. We'll protect your business with estate plans, contracts, insurance. We'll help you do mergers and acquisitions. We'll do all of that money stuff. But that's not the reason I do it. The reason I do it is because I care about the impact of when people are unleashed to reach their maximum potential. Because when someone is unleashed to reach their maximum potential, they help more people. They do more good, and that's why I do it. And my story tells that story. I care deeply about family. My family, my parents taught me how to love. They taught me how to be in a family. They taught me the importance of it. They taught me to go big. My message to my heirs and the people that are going to come is that you can go as big as you want, and you're going to have the family invested in you just as much as you're invested in yourself. And I want to give that permission to every business owner in America. Our vision is that we're going to have a billion-dollar company in 10 years. Not because we care about the $1 billion, but we care about what that means of how many people we've impacted and how many ripples of people are going and doing about good, just like the ripple of Garrett speaking and me being here today. That's my story. If you want to ask questions about it, I'd love to share more. I'm Justin D. Maxwell, and until next time, thanks for watching.